Good morning, friends. Good to be with you again. Thank you for joining this collaboration between Tom and Danielle Thibodeau, or like I say, Dad and Danny. Our topic this morning is, can leadership be taught? Can leadership be taught? Sharon Parks wrote a book with that title over 10 years ago. Sharon Parks is an author, a researcher, a scholar who spent a year sitting in the classroom of Ronald Heifetz at Harvard. Heifetz is a premier teacher of leadership in the country, where he's been teaching at Harvard for over 25 years. He is a classically trained pianist and a psychologist, extraordinary in his ideas and in his scope. And he has come to the conclusion, as we all have, that teaching leadership is an art. It's an art form, and as an art form, needs the discipline of study, research, and practice. Study, research, and practice. After every class, Heifetz spends at least 2 hours processing what he has learned in case and point teaching, what he has reflected upon, how the students are interacting. It is an art form. There are no recipes, there are no shortcuts for teaching. I have found that if you want to teach anything well, it takes at least 10 years, which would be in the ballpark of how it is to develop any art form or skill. But there are parameters that you and I can keep in mind each time we stand in front of people in training, development, or education. First, what is it we're talking about? What's the what? To define what we are going to talk about, what are our terms? What is the vocabulary? The power of the language that we use in the classroom is extraordinary. What is the evidence-based research and the data that will support the ideas that you want to present to a group? Always important that people understand that this is not an opinion, but these are ideas that are rooted in fact and research. Secondly, people want to know, how are you going to teach them? Will it be a lecture? Will it be discussion? Will it be video? Will there be time for reflection? Will there be time for group activities? Will there be time that people will be asked out of their comfort zone to get involved in things that they would not have ordinarily explored? It's the how, the technique, skills, the strategies that one begins to learn and develop over time. But then what's important is to always pay attention to the who to whom I'm speaking. Marshall McLuhan, the great scholar, said, all of us need to learn the language of the who me's, the whom to whom I'm speaking. A kindergarten teacher has to learn the who me's of a 5-year-old, be able to speak in a language that a 5-year-old understands. A middle school teacher has to understand that hormones and physical development affect learning and behavior in middle school students. And those of us who have the opportunity of working and developing the lives of adults have to understand that everybody comes with their own narrative, with their own levels in terms of trauma. How often have we had crucial conversations in the classroom, and it triggers past events from people who have suffered terribly? People who have not been able to reconcile themselves with experiences of abuse or rejection. We must be sensitive and understanding of the whom to whom we're speaking. And finally, in every situation, in every class, in every lesson, why are we doing it? Why do we believe in it? Is it deeply connected to what is it we believe? The word belief comes from the Latin word credo. It means what we set our heart on. Why have you set your heart on teaching and practicing servant leadership? Why have you been willing to make sacrifices based on the needs of the people entrusted to your care? Why is it so important for you to grow and to develop this work for yourself and the people that you love? Why? Robert Greenleaf provides that for me when in his best test he says, and what is the effect on the least privileged in society? That resonates with me. Whatever you do to the least of my brothers and sisters, you do to me. The greatest teacher in the world reminds us of this, and the greatest teacher in the world was willing to stake his life on it. The what, the how, the who, and the why become the foundations of preparing ourselves for our lives of leadership, development, and teaching others. Thank you so much for listening.